Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Geeks. My name is Tim.
Wow. All right, we're doing that. And my name is Alex. And we are
As always.
two brothers on a quest to bring you the perfect pairing of whiskey and comics. And
That's
you got
right.
two whiskeys.
I got two whiskeys. It's season 2. I'm double fisting.
That's right.
Yeah, we are hot in the middle of season 2, which is our essentials. For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We talk about whiskey and comics. And today we're in the middle, season 2, essentials. We thought we're Canadian. We should probably talk about an essential Canadian distillery, right?
Absolutely, we should. And
I
this
mean,
is actually one of our favorites, too.
it is. There's some really great stuff happening in the whiskey world from our home and native land of Canada. Some really great distilleries. We can't touch on all of them, but this is one of the newer ones that's really, really knocking it out of the park across the board in both of our opinion. Kind of a sleeping giant, if you will, and they kind of came out of nowhere, which is why we paired it with the also essential read Secret Invasion from Marvel, which we will be talking about next week. So make sure you come back for that one because today's all about whiskey. But Secret Invasion is a pretty cool book. So go out, buy it, find it, read it, and then you can come back and we'll deep dive it next week and talk about that book because it's rad. But first, let's talk about this unbelievable distillery from the great province of British Columbia, Macaloney's Caledonian.
Yeah. It's an island distillery because it actually is out on Vancouver Island.
That's
And
right.
they are putting out some really great product. We first got
Absolutely.
introduced to this many years ago. Our dad, the whiskey dad, as we like to call him, of course, found out that there was this new distillery that was just getting onto the scene here in Canada, and was able to procure some samples of like some early spirit that they had. It's some of the stuff they're getting to market isn't even legally be allowed to be called whiskey in Canada because it hasn't
Yeah.
been aged for 3 years, right? So they
Yeah,
are
the one that we're going to be tasting together tonight, this peated one is just single malt spirit right on the
yeah,
label because can't call it whiskey yet. But
yeah,
I've got another one that they can call whiskey. God damn
yes,
it. So
yeah.
that's true. I mean, you say many years ago. They opened in
Well,
2016, so they are relatively new. But yes, it has.
yeah,
I mean, shit, we're almost into 2022 at this point. Time is
yeah,
a flat circle. But yeah, so for me, I had a couple samples of the small stuff that our dad had picked up, and then I was out. This is actually a funny story. This bottle is right before everything shut down. So I went out to BC for work in March of 2020.
oh, that's
Um,
right.
yeah, flew home on St. Patrick's Day 2020, and the next day everything was locked the F down.
Yeah.
So this was the last fun I had. Uh, I'm just joking for those who know that I had a child over the pandemic. Don't worry. I still have had lots of fun. Um, but yeah, my wife and I had a gig to work out in Kelowna and we made a trip of it. And we decided to go visit Vancouver and Victoria. And we had never been to Victoria. And that's when my dad reminded me, hey, there's this distillery out there. You should go and take a visit. So my lovely wife, who is amazing and supports my whiskey enthusiasm, said sure, and she was pregnant at the time, so she couldn't drink.
Yeah.
So we took a stop off, and I did a little tasting, and it was just as good as I remembered. And so I picked up this bottle. So they had this series. It was the Twa Cask series. While they were waiting for their own spirits to age so they could sell them, they just purchased a bunch of casks and then did some blending and then released the series. So the favorite one that I tried then, and I picked up a bottle, it was it's the Highland Blend. So this is a blend of Blair Athol and Macduff, which they
Nice.
then finished in retoasted red wine barriques.
Ah.
So it's a nice
So,
natural color. Look how dark it is for those watching
oh
on YouTube.
my
46%.
goodness.
I'm gonna like smell and do some tasting. If you want to maybe talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the distillery
Yeah.
while I do
Well,
that because I'm thirsty.
yeah, for sure. Well, I'm going to brag and then give a little bit of
Do
a
it.
shout out because for those looking, I
Oh, look at
also
you.
just got and if you can see there, this has not even been cracked yet. So this is going to
Yes.
double as a neck pour session for me. But friend of the podcast, Matt, was actually just out in Alberta, and he FaceTimed me from one of the liquor stores out there in Red Deer and said, all right, I got room for 2 bottles to come back. You can have one of them. What do you want? So he's walking up and down the aisles. And when I saw, so the Macalonies, they've got a very distinct bottle shape, which they're like, the owner actually goes into how like the creation of the bottle, he wanted something that was a little unique. And when I saw that, I was like, is that a Macalonies? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't remember a green label on anything. What is that? So this is the Twa Cask Islay blend. And
Nice.
so this is a blend of Caol Ila and Buna.
Oh, right on.
So it says non-chill filtered, matured in ex-bourbon casks, and then carefully finished in retoasted red wine barriques as well for
There you
this
go.
lovely.
That
So
color.
I'm just gonna get this on camera of opening this
Oh, you're
bad boy
cracking it
up.
now.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm doing it right now because if you've got to
I
warm
dig
up,
it. I
yeah.
dig
And you
it.
know what? Let's see if we can't get this on mic. There it was.
Ooh, delicious. And don't worry, folks, if you want a specific neck pour session of Macaloney, I've got another one coming because I've got this fancy little bottle behind me that I'll talk about
Yeah.
that I picked up that's going to be coming soon as well. But yeah, so Macaloney. Let's talk a little bit while your dram does a little bit of breathing.
It smells good already, but let's
Is it
throw a cap.
peaty? Is it really peaty? Or did
It's
they go with like, because Buna's not necessarily peated, and Caol Ila I find is a pretty
I was
light
gonna
on the
say
peat.
it's that sweet smoke
Mm,
that
that's awesome.
that I think is like the Caol Ila influence of that sweet smoke.
Yeah,
So it's
nice.
not overly peaty, but yeah, let's let that sit in there for a little minute.
Right on.
So yeah,
So yeah, so it was founded by Dr. Graeme Macaloney, Scotsman, who
hence the
decided,
name.
hence the name. This is all going to come back, folks. For those that know, we're teasing something. It's called foreshadowing. It's good podcasting.
Yeah.
It's all going to come back with the island and the Macaloney. Um, so he wanted to start a distillery over here in BC. He got his start in the whiskey world. I think he was bottling over in Scotland, fell in love with it, wanted to start a distillery a number of years later. He actually has his PhD in fermentation engineering. So he put together an absolute dream team
Yeah.
of folks to start this distillery. Um, you know, got an ex Diageo master distiller in Mike Nicholson, who I believe he had worked at
A
over a
lot of
dozen
them.
over a dozen distilleries in Scotland. So he's his master distiller. And then also brought Dr. Jim Swan, who is known as the Einstein of whiskey,
Yeah.
to help because his specialty is in maturation, Scotch maturation, whiskey maturation, which, Alex, you can maybe talk about what he's doing and why it's so incredible, which will lead us into the second dram that we're going to share together,
Yeah.
this Peated Mac Na Braiche, their spirit. It's really going to come into play with that. But what does Dr. Jim
So
Swan, what does he do?
so what he started playing around with is how trying to find a way to get things to age quicker by changing like the chemical structure inside it, like the wood for the cask. So he invented this STR method, which is
Hmm.
shave, toast, rechar. So we all know, and well, we all know, if you don't know, what they do when they get a cask is they will, I mean, it goes to the cooper, they get it into the right shape, and then it goes down like a conveyor belt and they fire, literal fire, up on the inside of it to toast it. So, and this gives it a bit of a char. And what this does is it reactivates the wood. So technically what this does is, you chop a tree down, the wood is dead. When they toast it, it reactivates the chemicals in the wood. So it's acting like it's alive so that the spirit that you put in the cask can actually interact with it. So that's how it pulls out like the oaky notes, the sugars from the vanillin chemical that's in oak. So that's what happens. Now, you can only do this so many times. You
Right.
can only put spirit into a cask so many times. So a lot of whiskey is put into ex bourbon. So The cask has been used to age bourbon, so that's one time. So that is a first fill cask when the bourbon goes in. The whiskey then goes in, so this is now a refill. So
Mm-hmm.
this is now round 2. Sometimes they will then use it a third time, to, and just sort of keep going. But eventually that wood, the interaction that you get with the spirit, goes away.
Right.
So what Dr. Swan did was say, we've got all these barrels kicking around. There's got to be a method where we can keep using them. So they popped the ends off. They went in and they shaved
Mm.
a bit of that, like the top layer. They would shave that off the inside of the barrel. They would then re-toast it,
Mm.
um, to reactivate the wood, and then they would actually go a little bit further and actually, like char, like rechar, these casks, so that you
It's
could
like
then
it's
use them
like
again.
searing the outside of a steak.
Yes,
You need that layer of crunch.
that's right. So, but they're doing this with barrels that have held, like previously held spirit. So in the what we're drinking, our first ram, these are ex red wine barriques. So the wine has interacted with the wood and has imparted characteristics of the wine, right? So it's got the sugars from the wine, it's got some of the tannins, it's got some of the color. And even though they are shaving that off and retoasting it, some of those characteristics stick around. And
Yeah.
there are some really good, like scientific journal style, papers that you can actually go and read if you are so inclined. I
Yeah.
was, because I kind of geek out on this kind of stuff. And
It's
even though they're,
kind of in our channel name.
oh yeah, I know, right?
I was gonna say like this. You're getting the geek side of the whiskey geeks.
Yeah,
It's not just comic books, folks. We
no,
geek
no.
out hard about weird
About
sciencey whiskey shit.
the chemical makeup of casks.
Yeah.
So you still, even though they are like shaving the inside of the cask and retoasting it, the chemical makeup has been changed in the wood already, so some of that sticks around. So once they rechart and they put the spirit, like the new make spirit for the that becomes whiskey. Once they get that into the cask, it's now interacting in a different way than it would if it was a first fill ex
Yeah.
bourbon cask.
Yeah.
What happens, and what Dr. Swan found, is this actually allows the spirit to age quicker. So for new distilleries, and for a lot of distilleries now, they're using this method because they found if you age something for 18 months in an STR cask, like the Peated Mac Na Braiche that we're going to get to in a minute, it's 18 months old, but tastes like a 10 to 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And
It's
they were
pretty
doing a lot of
crazy.
blind tastings with this, where it was standing up to whiskeys that were like 6-7 times older.
Yeah.
And so that's the really cool thing, that like he was playing around with like the makeup of, like right down to the like the cellular level of like in the wood, how can we alter
Yeah.
this to get it to interact different. So that's my big spiel about STR casks. Yeah,
Super cool. So
really cool stuff.
Rockstar team. Um, they pull these people in. Let's start a distillery. Oh crap! It costs a lot of money to start a distillery. How are we going to do this? They actually crowdfunded it. So they got it's. I'm sure there's some of you out there listening who are one of the original founder owner investors. So kudos to you. Thank you for doing so. They actually just wrapped up another round
Yeah,
of investor funding right now. Um, and I my hat is off to all of you for helping them get this distillery off the ground, because it is fantastic, and I cannot wait to see where things go.
yeah,
Um, because what they're doing currently, I remember the first time I tasted this peated Mac Na Braiche, finding out that it was like 18 years old. I was just like,
months.
what? Or sorry, 18 months old. It was, it's mind blowing. It's
Yeah,
very, very shocking. Very,
yeah,
very shocking at how much older it tastes. Because normally, we've had 3-year old whiskey, and it can taste really hot and sharp, and you just get a lot of ethanol and alcohol burn,
yeah,
and this stuff doesn't have it. But so my Highland blend that I've got, not their
yeah,
new make spirit, but this blend, let me tell you, it's very, very nice. It's got a very typical Highland whiskey notes. There's some fruit in there. There's a bit of spice, some of those baking spices that you get with Highland whiskey. You don't get a ton of red wine, but I think the red wine barriques, it's really just kind of smoothed it out and kind of calmed it down, and really, to borrow from the Big Lebowski, really tied it all together. It's like
Nice
a
pull.
rug. Thank you. It's like a nice rug in a room. So it's incredibly smooth. I think it's a 46% alcohol. It drinks like a 40 in my opinion, because with how easy it goes down and how nice it is. Um, I don't know if these are all that available anymore, to be honest
Well,
with you.
I don't honestly, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they have any. So the nice thing about Macaloney's is they'll actually you can buy right from the distillery and they'll
Yeah,
ship it across the country.
that's what I did
Now,
with this bad boy, which I'll tell you
yeah.
about.
So I'm not sure how many of the Twa Cask series they still have, which is why when Matt saw it, I was like, oh yeah, get that one. Because
Yeah, there might be some old Dusties sitting
yeah,
around in some liquor stores around. So have a look. If you see one and you think, oh, it's this blend of other distilleries, they did a phenomenal job
yeah.
with
And
these
I'm pretty
blends.
sure these were all like these are all limited to around 300 bottles.
Yeah, they didn't do much. So
So, but anyways, this
let us know in the comments if you've had it and which
if
ones
you
you
found
like.
one,
Let's do that. Yeah.
yeah, no, this Isla one is really quite nice. So I
Ooh.
am picking up some of the sweeter like the sweeter sherry notes from the Buna,
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is coming through. But then I'm also getting a bit more of the like the sweet peat that Colila is known for, which is it's a really soft smoke as opposed to like a slap in the face Ardbeg Lefroy
Right.
kind of peat. So this is really nice actually. Again, it's 46% and I it's super smooth. I think it's been finished nicely. It picked up some of the nice color from those red wine barriques. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna like this.
I'm excited.
So I'll
I
get some of this down to you.
just did a little quick research because I was like, McDuff. What is the McDuff again? I've got a bottle of Glendeverin, 20-year
Mm-hmm.
old, and that's the same people. That's McDuff.
Oh,
McDuff
okay.
does Glendeverin as well. So, but let's get into the main whiskey that we're using.
Yeah.
Compare. I mean, normally we would have like a specific pairing, but for this one, we decided like we're just going to do the whole distillery. We're going to talk about a couple of them, and it kind of goes with the whole secret invasion because people just pop up all over the place.
Yeah. Who's a
Um,
Skrull? I don't know.
exactly. But I kind of want to get into this peat. It's been a long time since I've had this. You know, I'm about halfway through my bottle, and I was just kind of like, I was gonna put this away for a little bit, and I'm excited to come back to it now.
Yeah. I've forgotten
Ooh,
that
ooh,
like it's a very unique
it's
it's a very
very
unique
unique.
nose, right? And so a lot of times what we say is the environment where something ages, it really does have a big influence on
Yeah.
the final product, right? So like we've had a lot of scotch, that is aged in Scotland, be that by the coast where you get some of the maritime like salinity influence, some of the island ones versus some of the highlands. We've also had the opportunity to have some like southern bourbons, which are very
Mm-hmm.
different. Like high and hot is one of the things that is always like associated with that. When you get into like Cavalan, which is from Taiwan, like it's really humid. So
Same
it
with
can,
Amrit from India as
yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
But like this, which is aged out in like on Vancouver Island, out in Victoria, it has that influence from the Pacific Ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting that salt. That salted mist is going to be
Yeah.
wafting into the warehouse, and you definitely pick that up on the nose of this one. Like I'd
Yeah.
actually forgotten how sea spray this
Yeah.
was.
It's not quite brine. It's not briny iodine like you would get with a Lefroy or something like that. And the peat in this is really not that. It's not overly high. So it's peated smoked at our distillery to 54 parts per million. So you know you're I
That's
believe
that's right around. Is that quarter cask or is that lag 16? Like
I
one of
think
those
that's
one of those two is right
yeah
around like the 50
yeah
55 somewhere in there.
Yeah, when you get into the octomores, that's when you're hitting like 100 plus, sometimes
Yeah.
two, um, sometimes 200, which is kind of crazy. But coming in, as they say, people who like non-chill filtered natural color. Again, this is 18-month-old whiskey, and the color on this, for those just listening, go to our YouTube right now. We'll also post a picture on
It's
our Instagram.
it's
But my
beautiful.
goodness, it's really, really
Yeah.
dark. Even in the glass, it's super dark.
So nice.
Um, and yeah, the peat is really not killing you on the nose at all. It is
Okay.
it's there, it's
Yeah.
soft, but I remember tasting it. I'm like, "Oh shit, there it is." But
Yeah.
it's not a really peat heavy nose, which is interesting. So
Yeah.
you just had a taste. What did
I
you taste on it? I'm going to go in.
and we talked about this. This is only this is 18 months in the cask. This is wildly smooth. the
It's so
like
insane.
it doesn't make any sense that something this young, like a new 18 months, we can't even call it whiskey. This is just like a new
No.
make spirit that's been spent some time in a cask. It's incredibly smooth.
It's bananas. And what,
And it's
46
it's
on this as well?
46. Yeah, so it's 46%, but if I told you this was like 37, like
What, like it's reminding me of like, I don't know if it's Redbreast 12, which is 40. Cavalan, I think, is 40.
wasn't the
Um,
Bowmore, isn't Bowmore 1240?
it might be, but yeah, I recently had a 40. I think it was the Cavalan. Again, that's like a
Yeah.
sherry. But I had that on the weekend, and I was just like, man, this almost tastes like water, delicious water. Don't get me wrong, but compared to the 56 to 58% stuff that we've been drinking in our advent calendar that we're doing this year, it's just been like this hilarious run of cask strength stuff. Like
Yeah.
this is nothing, but it's honestly, this is, I would I would almost give this to someone who is interested in trying a peated whiskey as like a, you want to get into Islay,
Yeah.
this as a peated non-Islay whiskey, this is a really nice bridge
Yeah.
to getting
That's
someone who's a whiskey fan, even like a rye fan, if they're like they like Canadian whiskey or bourbons or
mhm.
something like that. This, I could see this being a pretty good bridge whiskey into getting someone interested in peat to then like, okay, let me show you the world
Yeah.
of
And I think
peated whiskey.
the other thing that's a little bit different from what Macaloney's doing compared to some of the other Canadian distilleries is this doesn't taste like a Canadian rye,
Oh
right?
God, no.
Like this is malted barley. This is I can't remember where they source their peat from, but I'm pretty sure this is it's West Coast peat. Like they're not bringing in like peat from Scotland to do this. So
Right.
it does have some of those local elements, but they're not using rye. This is definitely like in the like barley whiskey vein.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get mistaken. Like Two Brewers, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
the when you taste Two Brewers, you're like, oh, this is a Canadian, right?
Right.
Like right off the bat, you're like, oh, like this is a Canadian whiskey because it has some of those elements that jump out to you.
And
This,
that is not throwing shade because we
no.
love Two Brewers.
Oh gosh, love one of my favorite bottles of this year was a Two Brewers.
We'll talk about that at the end of this episode.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
um, this is doing a phenomenal job, and
Yeah.
especially again, especially for the age. We always like to talk about like the value proposition. So these bottles are all somewhere around the $100 plus or minus a bit,
Yeah.
right? So like sometimes they're 120, sometimes they're 90. But for $100 for an 18-month-old spirit island spirit, and
Tastes
like
like a
it's
12, like a 10 to
yeah,
12 year
it
old.
does. Like honestly, if you gave this to someone, I kind of feel like what they might come back with on a blind tasting was like, is this a Highland Park 12?
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's peated, it's not overly peated, right?
Yeah.
It's not it's not that sweet smoke, but it does have some sweet notes, which
Yeah.
I think is what the STR cask is imparting, right? Like they're recharring, you're getting a bit more of that, like, I mean, not quite caramelization of the wood, but you're getting some of those reactivating those sugars, which are then
Yeah.
getting pumped into there. So
Yeah. What a delicious whiskey. Are you
yeah.
getting any other like notes at all in there or nosing tastings after having a couple sips? Maple syrup, beavers, and moose. That's what I'm
Yeah, I
getting.
was gonna say there's a bit of
Just a
poutine, some
little
cheese
Sydney,
curd, like
little,
Quebec, yeah,
little,
Quebec cheese
yeah.
curds, some
Let's say
maybe Sherbrooke, I think.
little Sidney Crosby,
Yeah.
little World Junior gold medals,
No, there
a
is.
little bit of Grey Cup
Yeah, there. I mean, there are some sweet notes coming through on the nose for
for
me.
sure. Now, I
Now
like
they're
after
not
having a
like,
sip and stuff.
yeah.
It's not sherry sweet at all.
Mm-mm.
It's not it's not like apples. It's not raisins or anything like that. It's almost like I'm getting a little bit of like Swedish berry, that kind of like red candy, like the candies, but
Yeah.
not like the cough drop medicinal kind of candy that you
No, no,
sometimes
no.
get.
Yeah, like the red jujubes.
Yeah, like a big foot
Um,
without the cinnamon.
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
hot lip. Take the cinnamon out of hot lips. You know, you've got that like
Yeah.
red the fruity note.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of that.
Yeah. And I mean the salt, I would say the salinity, the sea spray has like come down a little bit, and I'm picking up more of the sweet notes on the nose now that we've tasted it. Let's talk about our favorite thing. Let's talk about mouthfeel.
Gross.
Little oily.
It is. Yeah.
Um, it is. I think you can tell it's younger by how it sits in your
Yeah.
mouth more than the finish. Like it's super smooth on the finish, but it
Yeah.
does sort of sit like the edges of the tongue,
Yes.
like the cheeks a little bit. Like it's not quite chewy, but it's like going in that direction. So, but it's
Yeah.
very, very, very nice.
I'm very happy to be revisiting this whiskey. It's
Yeah,
very, very good.
it has been like, I don't think this made it up to the cottage this year
Mm.
when I went. I don't think it was in either of our bags. So I'm not sure. It was probably early in the summer the last time I had this. So
Right.
this is very nice.
Now, they did just recently release their first line of whiskey. So they've been able to age stuff long enough now, and they released there's 3 different bottlings of whiskey. I picked up their cask strength.
Of course you
I've
did.
not, of course I did. I've not opened this yet. So this is the Invermally Island Single Malt Whiskey, single cask, limited release, carefully matured in premium recharred red wine barriques.
Nice.
So this is bottle number 204 of 291.
Beautiful.
It was bottled in October of 2021. ppm scale 0, so there's no peat in this, and the alcohol comes in at a nice 57.9.
Oh, beautiful.
Cask number 58. So there will be a video coming when I crack this bad boy to get the taste.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Is this the one you bought 2 of?
It might be.
Okay.
This might be the
Just
one
asking. No, just asking.
when I saw that they put this on social media that it was available, I just immediately said, I'm going to treat myself and buy 2.
Yeah.
With the initial thought of, I'm going to buy one for me and for sharing, obviously, because that's what we say, whiskey's for sharing.
Yeah.
And then a backup bottle that we would do a club tasting when we do a full Canadian one.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and apologize to anybody listening from the Whiskey Geeks Club right now. If this bottle slaps and is really, really awesome, I'm probably just going to keep it.
You mean
but,
you're probably going to share it, right?
Well, I mean, like, I'll keep it as in when people come over, when I go, I'll share it around and stuff like that. But we'll see if this makes
we'll see how it does.
Tasting or not, because I'm pretty sure they sold out of all 291 bottles of this.
I would imagine so.
But
the other nice thing,
it was around $150
for
this. So a little bit pricey, obviously, I know, but I kind of figured it's a Canadian distillery I really like. I want to support. $150. It shipped right to my door. That's like tax and shipping and stuff included, because I think that like retail is like $129, and then with taxes and shipping, to come straight to Ontario to my house, I think it was like $300 all in for 2 of them. So I think that's a pretty good deal, depending if it's good.
And okay,
Sure, it's
let's
gonna be good.
now, I'm sure it's going to be good. Let's briefly talk about why it is that we like to support this distillery and they could probably use the $150, shall we?
And also the reason why we're pairing it with Secret Invasion, because the whole point of Secret Invasion is the Skrulls come out of nowhere, buck the system, and throw everything into chaos.
Yeah.
There's currently a lawsuit. um, they are being sued. Some of you probably know. They are being sued by, what is it, the Scotch Whisky Association?
Yeah. Yeah, the SWA, that's right.
Um, over the use of certain terminology, which the
Big
Scotch
big
Whisky
whiskey.
Association, Big Whiskey, deem are confusing to consumers, and
Yeah.
they're saying that they're confusing people into saying that their whiskey is they're trying to pass their stuff off as Scotch. Now,
Yeah. Poor us. I'm so dumb. I
yeah,
don't know what I'm buying and I'm being deceived
being deceived. And I
by
think
Macaloney's.
the main things that they're saying that they can't use are the terms Macaloney because it's Scottish.
It's the dude's name.
Remember what the founder's last name is. The fact that it's
Caledonia.
island, the Caledonia because it's Scottish. The area of Vancouver Island, Victoria, where this is made, is called Caledonia.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys does the SWA not remember that Canada? There's a lot of Scottish people here, and a
Uh-huh.
lot of, I
The
mean,
places are named after a lot of places in Scotland.
let me just put this out there. I know that England is in Scotland, so don't come at me with this. But I currently live in London, who has a Thames River.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm in Middlesex County,
Yep.
uh,
You
and
live just off, you live near Oxford Street
I'm just off of Oxford Street,
and Hyde.
like
Yeah,
there's Hyde Park.
there's
Oh no,
Hyde Park.
Hyde Park. I can see Hyde Park
Yeah.
from me. So maybe let's calm down a little bit about claiming the Caledonia thing when there
Yeah.
is a Caledonia here.
Yeah.
And then the other one is them calling themselves an island whiskey.
It's made on an island.
Hmm. Weird.
Yeah.
So
So,
this is not the first time that they've come after a Canadian distillery. Our
yes,
lovely
they,
folks of Glen Breton out
yep,
east went through all of this already, and it almost bankrupted them because
took 9 years.
took 9 years, and they're a brand new distillery, and then they got to pay all these legal fees. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
Macaloney's going through this too. So
Yeah.
not cool.
I'm not sure how to, one, it's like, okay, you want to retain the ability, like only things that are made in Scotland could be called Scotch. Cool. Yep.
On board with that.
On board with that. Um, they're making whiskey. They're not calling it Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I mean, I'll pick up the bottle and read it. It says right
Canadian.
on it, visit our distillery for guided tours and custom designed. And it's very prominently says product of Canada.
Yeah, product of Canada on the back.
Right, like right on it.
Yeah.
And then you know it's made in Canada because it also says Produit du Canada. And there's French all over the label as well. So yeah, it's like the address is on it. It in no way is, I don't know, in my opinion, to trying to pass it off as anything else other than just it's good what's in the bottle. So
you're good.
But because of that obviously led to, hey, let's do Secret Invasion. Because
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of tongue in cheek and it's
I
fun.
mean, we were going to do Secret Invasion anyway because the book is phenomenal. And for those that don't know, the MCU is going there. They're going to be doing it. They're doing Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
But if you watch Captain Marvel, that's where the Skrulls came in. There's some post credit stingers of some movies. They're a couple years old, but I still don't want to spoil it. But there are post credit stingers with Skrulls in it. The Skrulls are here. That's the story behind Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
That they've been slowly infiltrating Earth for a long time and just pretending to be certain characters that I don't want to spoil for the book. But all of a sudden, half of the superheroes, you realize that, oh, that's a scroll, and
Yeah.
it's been 6 years. And anyway, so it's a phenomenal book. It's really good. Go read it. We're going to
Yeah.
dive deep into it. Next week, we're going to talk theories about if the MCU, what they're going to do with it as well. Coming up on the channel as well, we've got some more neck pour sessions coming up. We're going to do our whiskeys of the year in the
Yes, we
next
are.
2 weeks. We've got some rules that we're kind of keeping to because we've tried an exorbitant amount of whiskey this year. Um, I'm thinking we're going to do like our favorite Canadian, our favorite Scotch, our favorite
Rest of
neither of
world.
those two things,
Yeah.
rest of the world, with some honorable mentions. We're going to try and keep it to stuff that's accessible that you can actually go and buy with some what's the best thing that
Yeah.
you don't know that I was going to suggest this. I'm going to tell you this right now on air.
Yeah.
I think we should do what's the best thing you tasted this year, because
Yeah.
I've got two that you can't buy
Yeah.
that I was lucky enough to taste this year that blew my effing mind. So I definitely want to mention them. So
Yeah.
we'll do that as well. But yeah, final thoughts on this. Oh, we should probably give it a score.
Yeah.
Let's score you know what? Let's give a general score to Macaloney as a whole. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going
tried a
to
bunch of
give
it.
Macaloney as a distillery, I'm going to give them an 8.5.
Right there with you. Fantastic
Because
work.
yeah, just they're doing great work. I think as they progress, this has room to go up.
Yeah.
But they're like the innovation, the way they started off. I mean, some of this goes into they crowdfunded. You can buy shares. There's cask ownership programs where you can design your own cask and get 30, 60 bottles of something that you can do, which is great.
It hits me in my punk rock roots. It's such a punk rock model of like, fuck it, we'll just do our own thing.
Yeah.
And we're just, oh, we need money, we'll find money, let's ask people to help us out. Like, this goes back to me playing in a punk band where it's like, fuck, we want to play a show in Kitchener, and some kid being like, my church will let us run a show in the basement, and then like, let's just flyer the town and we all pile in a van, and like, it's just so punk rock of like, just get it done. But like, the product's incredible, and keep doing,
it's really good.
Keep doing, you guys.
Yeah.
We're here with you.
We're gonna keep supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
If let us know what you've tried of Macaloney's, if you've had any of it, if you found any of these dusty Twa Cask series like out in the wild. I mean, I would certainly suggest, it's not often you're gonna find a on label telling you that it's a Colila Bunahaven blend. Like, normally you're gonna get, hey, this is so and so's private bottling blend of Islay whiskeys, and they don't tell you what's in it.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're putting right on there, these are the distilleries, these are the casks, this is what we did with it, I really appreciate. So I would say, if you see one of these, grab it. Let us know.
Go to their website.
Yeah,
it just flashed across the screen, and it's in the description for those listening. Their web store, they will deliver straight to you.
Yeah.
Go order something.
Do great stuff.
They do beer too. If you're out in BC,
yeah,
get some beers.
I really do want to try try some of their beers. It looks great.
I had a pint when I was there. It was fantastic. Yeah. A pint and then a flight of whiskeys. If you're in Vancouver and they're open, go visit the distillery. Say hi. It's a good time. Keep coming back to our channel, folks. We're going to do more of this, because this is what we do. We talk whiskey. Next week, we'll talk comics. Sometimes we do both. We're going to be doing more stuff. So you can go check out our website, which desperately needs to be updated. I say that every week, which we will get to. But hey, it's thewhiskeygeeks.com. You can follow us on Instagram. Alex, where do they follow us?
It's at thewhiskeygeeks.com. And like on your hoodie and like on my shirt, and I'll move over, there's an E in whiskey, because we are non-discriminatory with our whiskey. You can send us an email. Tim, what's our email address?
Oh, weird. It's thewhiskeygeeks@gmail.com.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Thanks as always to Call and Response for the use of our theme song, Something About Your Love, from his self-titled album. You should go and buy that and support him. He's a fantastic artist. Yeah, I don't know. This was fun, man. It's good
Yeah,
seeing
this is a
you.
good one. I'm glad to be able to do a couple different ones. It was
Absolutely.
yeah,
It was fun.
this was we we were both a little busy and run down last week,
Yeah.
so it was tough, but glad we were able to get back here and get another one of these done. And I'm looking forward to I'm really looking forward. It's been a long time since I've looked at Secret Invasion. So I'm very much, and I'm pretty sure I only read like the first couple.
Oh my gosh,
I
you're
mean,
in for such a treat.
I know the story, but I can't wait to dig into it.
You're in for such a
So
treat. It's so good.
yeah,
I'm excited to reread it for like the fourth time.
yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. Thanks, folks. We'll have some more content out prior to a holiday shutdown.
Yeah,
But hey, if you're new, thanks for joining us. This is fantastic. All
hit
right,
that button,
yeah,
the
subscribe,
big red button.
the big one,
Wherever you
and a
listen to
thumbs up.
podcasts, a thumbs up would be
Share it.
great. If you could share it with someone, if someone you know likes to drink whiskey or likes to read comic books, it would be great if you could let them know that we're doing this fun little project, because we really enjoy doing it. And
Yeah,
it's always great having people, seeing their, oh, look at that, there's a new follower, and someone sends us a cool thing, cool message of what they just read, or hey, what would you
yeah,
think would pair with this? And so it's always a lot of fun. So that would
yeah.
be awesome if you could go ahead and do that. It would help us out.
And you should probably rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or
Was.
Spotify, and then write a review on Apple Podcasts because that helps the search algorithms. And make sure that you're sharing it as well, so that helps us rank higher. Corporate shill, and let's beat algorithms. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about anymore. Thanks, folks, for the Whiskey Geeks. My name is Tim.
And I'm Alex. And like always, Scotch and stories, they belong together. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, my friend.